Hello everyone, it is I, Ryan, also known as the Lovebat, and so I am here back again for another constructed deck in the game Magic the Gathering Arena. We're back in the arena once again to go in to do just another fun deck idea. It's not necessarily what I would consider maybe the most optimized deck, but it's a deck that I've had some mild success with, and it's been a fun theme that I've always had in mind, which is to do just a nice, good old-fashioned dragon deck. And I've done it before in one of my draft videos for the Baldur's Gate format in one of the drafts, where I made a very good dragon deck work with some cards that are actually in this deck are from that draft video that I did. But for the most part, I think it's just a fun deck. It's had some success as an alchemy deck, so this isn't going to be a standard deck like the previous deck that I showed off with the cleric deck that I recorded just a day or two ago. And this deck is also being recorded just before the standard format sort of flips in and out of different formats of cards. This is being recorded late in the evening on August 31st, so this is just before standard is going to rotate out a number of these cards that were from some previous formats from like a year or so ago and older. But the dragon deck is going to be hopefully a lot of fun, and it has lots of good little things going for it, and it's more of a sort of high-end sort of deck that has lots of ramp to it. Some interaction, but not too much, because it's more of a creature kind of focused deck that also has lots of dragon cards in it that can get you some value when they end up dying to removal, for example, such as the Kamigawa sort of dragon cards here that are legendary, and usually they're 5 mana or 4 mana. And so you have Tushi, the Blazing Sky, which is one of them. Then you have Ao, the Dawn Sky. And then you have Junji, the Midnight Sky. And then you have 6 mana one, Carry, the Swirling Sky. And then there was also a green one that was also in that set, but I'm not playing it in this one because the value on it isn't maybe quite as good in this deck, because we already have all kinds of fixing and lands that we can already get out. And since we have basically non-basic lands in our deck for the mana fixing that we're going to need for the 5-color madness here, it's going to be more of an interesting deck that relies more on fixing, ramp, and having lots of dual lands to kind of make sure that we can obviously keep on curve, get out our ramp creatures like Scale Nurturer, and then you can also get out ramping artifacts such as these Orbs of Dragonkind in a couple of different colors. We have some 3-mana orbs here, and that can give you secondary effects if you go ahead and cast a dragon spell with it, which is basically every spell in the deck except for the 1-drop Minion of the Mighty. Minion of the Mighty is on its own a very bad card, and in the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set, it would be a card that we would never ever take. But in this deck, because we have so many other dragons out that are very expensive, basically if you have a way to activate Pack Tactics with this, like flying over the top with 2 dragons, for example, and finding a way to deal 6 damage, or to have 6 power attack in there, then you can attack in with this for free, and if they want to go ahead and block it, they can, but they would have to double block it and make an investment to kill it. So you can go ahead and get out a nice big fat dragon that maybe you don't have the mana for or the fixing for to get out, such as maybe the 3-color Miram, the Sentinel Worm, which is an awesome card that was from the more recent Alchemy set of Baldur's Gate set. So this is a fun card. I wasn't able to get it in the drafts that I did for Baldur's Gate before that was not going to be the new thing anymore. There's going to be the Dominia, I don't know how you pronounce that. But there's going to be a new set out that's going to replace Baldur's Gate as the latest format in the sort of arena here. And even though Baldur's Gate was an alchemy format, it was still a fun format, and it had lots of good dragon cards, and Miram is one of them. And so we have lots of legendary dragons in this deck, and we have mainly just one copy of them. So that way we can go ahead and take advantage of this without double dipping on any of the legendary dragons, because there's many dragons to go around. So some of the legendary dragons that we have are like the Icing Death Frost Tyrant. We also have Nadar, which is just a very solid 3-drop that also gets some value when it attacks in. It can trade effectively with other creatures on the ground if they really want to block it. But it's also just a solid 3-drop, 3/3 with Vigilance. Can attack in, get you some value. You can go ahead and do any of these dungeons. You can scry 1 to try and make sure you get a good draw with the Lost Mines of Phandelver. Or if you're trying to go ahead and race the opponent, you can go with Tomb of Annihilation to try and make the opponent lose life. And then you can also, if you're playing the long game and the game is stalling out and you have ways to make Nadar bigger, so that way they don't die to a block so easily, then you can go ahead and get in with them and try and play some of these effects out with Dungeon the Mad Mage if it's more of a long game that you're playing. And then we have other legendary things like the aforementioned blazing or the sky-based sort of dragons from the Kamigawa set, which are legendary. And they give you some sweet effects that go ahead and get you some value even if the opponent has removal for them. If it's exile-based removal, you don't get the value for it because it's only when the dragon dies. And I'll just go ahead and leave the video like this so you can pause and read the cards if you want to. But basically the sky dragons, they give you some really sweet value if they end up dying. And so it punishes removal, and it gives you some value if the opponent has what they need to kill it. There are many decks out there. While some have exile-based removal, there are some that use board sweepers, for example, like the Meat Hook Massacre to try and kill things. And so that would end up getting you some decent sorts of side effects of having a dragon die. Some other dragons also can do some very good things, like this can't be countered. Ancient Copper Dragon gets you so many tokens that you can cast wherever you want on your next turn. And you can also go ahead and play out some extra things, like maybe some Orbs of Dragonkind. Shatter Skull Smashing gets better if you have more treasure tokens to work with. You can make this even better as sort of like a spell land that can get value with in the late game if you already have all the lands that you need. And then you have like the Adult Gold Dragon, which you can get in with haste, along with the Goldspan Dragon, which can get you treasure tokens, and you can just ramp into anything and also fix from many things with Goldspan Dragon. And then Thrakkus is another one of the legendary dragons that we have, which can double the power of dragons that are attacking. So this is a way that can finish off the game if you can get it out there and also find a way to attack with it without it getting killed by removal, for example. Then it can help put the game away in 1 or 2 turns if it gets the chance to attack. And so the Corellian Orb of Dragonkind can be one way to get it out on the turn sort of 4 play and get it haste, so it can go in as a 6/4 attacker with trample. So that's one way to get it haste. We could have put maybe a 1-drop Kobold Warcaller into this deck to try and give a big dragon haste and then get it in there on the turn that we ramp it into it. But the Mini of the Mighty is also a way to go ahead and play something into the battlefield and have it attacking, so that's semi-haste. If we can get out 2 dragons and then we can attack in with them and activate the pack tactics. And then we have Dragon Turtle as just sort of another bit of interaction that's also technically a dragon. You can flash it in and you can sort of tie down a creature that might be getting in the way and preventing you from attacking, or something that might just be getting a lot of value for the opponent. So you can kind of take it out of the play, out of the battle for a turn or 2, and then you can buy time to try and figure out to get another dragon out, or if you need to just buy time so you can draw into some action. And then you have also the Karlessa Scale Singer, which is also another legendary creature, and that's why we only have 2 copies of it instead of more. But it's a nice little value spell that can get you some value looking at the top card of your library, so you can know what you're going to draw into before playing things. And being able to play dragons on the top of your library can be a semi-card advantage. So considering how many dragons that we have in this deck, and it's mainly dragon focused, this is a semi-card advantage way to go ahead and keep on playing out cards from the top of the library. And it's also a way to know that if you're going to draw into land, then you can know what you might want to do in the next turn if you're maybe flooding out a little bit. And so overall, it's also pretty decent because it's a 1/4 blocker early in the game, which a dragon deck kind of needs against the aggro decks that are going to hopefully not run us over. And the Scale Nurture, as I mentioned, is a very good way to ramp. It's not going to be fixing because it only adds green mana, and you need green mana to cast it out in the first place. But being able to gain 2 life whenever you cast a dragon spell is going to be able to buy you time. Again, the aggro decks are usually the things that are going to try and run you over. But Scale Nurture and Karlessa can buy you time and try and make sure that you have enough time to get out 1 or 2 big dragons that can kind of turn the tide in your favor. And then Dragon's Fire is good instant speed removal. And it's not necessarily like an overpowered kind of removal. There are better removal spells out there as far as the optimized picks. But you get extra free value out of this because we have many dragons that have 4 power or greater in this deck. Since we have many sort of 5 drops and bigger, many of them have 4 power or greater, so we get lots of value. And then we can also go ahead and get lots of value on this if we attack in with a Thrakkus. And then we can double the power of a dragon, and then it can become a very big dragon, which means that Dragon's Fire can then kill almost anything on the field, I would imagine. Since if you double the power of, say, a 5/5 dragon into like a 10/5 dragon, then you can cast this at instant speed as a combat trick, or you can cast it at the end of your turn to kill a creature that maybe the opponent didn't block with. And so you can just go ahead and get lots of good value off of this. And it also kills Planeswalkers, which is relevant because Planeswalker decks are pretty prominent from what I played. And if you watched my previous draft video with my Cleric deck, the Planeswalker decks were pretty prominent that I faced, and they are very tough to deal with if you don't have ways to deal with them. Dragons can fly over the top and get to the Planeswalkers to kill them a lot of the time, and Dragon's Fire is just interaction that can also deal with them as well. Shatter Skull Smashing can also deal with Planeswalkers and creatures, and it's just a very good damage spell if we get, say, lots of treasure tokens out and lots of ramp. So that can also be very strong if we have all the lands that we already need. And so we have plenty of dual lands here, and Temple of the Dragon Queen can help fix very, very good. And then one Secluded Courtyard, since we can go ahead and choose dragons as a creature type. And this is another sort of very good fixing that we can go ahead and just get the mana color that we need, and then we can just kind of get the dragons out that we have in our hand at the time. So I think that's mostly the deck. Lots of these cards are just very good value cards, and the Orbs of Dragonkind get very good secondary effects as well as ramping and fixing. This gives additional +1/+1 encounter, and the fact that you give a dragon hexproof is very relevant to protect from removal potentially. And then the Orb of Dragonkind, which is the rare orb, and it was from the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set. This is just a very good sort of ramping kind of orb as well. They can also sacrifice to go ahead and try and find some action if you really need the card instead of the ramp. So this is another just value engine, and every card here has some kind of value going for it, such as like the Ancient Brass Dragon, which can go ahead and get stuff back from the graveyard into the battlefield. And then Ancient Gold Dragon, you can roll and try and get lots of tokens for chump blockers or a way to finish the game. So lots of these dragons can do lots of great things. Wrathful Red Dragon as well can kind of take over a game if they can't deal with it right away, because then anytime your dragons take damage from something when they attack, then it ends up dealing damage to any target, which can also deal damage to the opponent's face and possibly just kill them outright that way if you just keep on attacking with your dragons. So it's a very, very good deck. I've had mainly good success with it, at least with the Alchemy sort of decks that I've come up against, but we'll see how it does on the actual sort of live video here. And again, Minion of the Mighty, your mileage may vary with this card. Some people will probably hate it and think it's a waste in this kind of deck. If you didn't go with Minion of the Mighty, then another good one-drop would again be the Kobold Warcaller, so you can give a nice big fat dragon haste and have it attack the turn that it gets onto the field. But other than that, I think that I quite like this deck. Maybe I could do with a sweeper effect or two, so that way you can have some an ace in the hole if things are kind of getting out of hand, or maybe you just can't ramp fast enough into a big dragon. But there aren't too many lower mana board sweepers, except for maybe the Dragon's Breath, but that only deals with smaller creatures. But it can deal with the aggro decks with the 2 damage to the entire board, but I think that mostly the board sweepers are going to hurt you more than help you, especially the things like Doomscar, things like that, or the Meat Hook Massacre. So I think for the most part, since this is mainly green, red, and then splashing the other colors in various degrees, we don't actually have that much green in here, but the green is important for the Scale Nurturer and for this Orb of Dragonkind, which is probably the best orb that we get. And then there's also the Thrakkus, which is a very good dragon card. And so red is the main color here. Green is a somewhat prominent color because of our lower mana plays. And so everything in the 1-drop and 2-drop territory is green and red. And then we have some blue mixed in for the 3-drops. And then it kind of varies out from there. But yeah, it's a very interesting deck. And I'll go ahead and get to the games now and quit procrastinating like I did making this video. And I'll go ahead and get to the first match. And we shall see how the deck performs. Alright. Match number 1. Hopefully victim number 1 as far as our dragon deck maybe running over the opponent. One can only hope. I might jinx myself with that, but we'll see. Okay, so we have plenty of colors here in our opening hand. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 colors of mana. We're only missing white. This looks like a decent hand. We have Corlessa as an early play, Dragon's Fire as removal for whatever the opponent plays out. Then we also have the Eraser's Ring, which can get us value for drawing a card later on. And then Kari, the Swirling Sky, is a very good sort of curve topper if we find some ramp and draw into it. So I think this is a keep. Okay, so Minion of the Mighty is interesting. But we're not going to play that out turn 1, I don't think. It's just going to be doing nothing mostly. So this comes into the field tapped, so let's play this out first. Minion of the Mighty turn 1 doesn't really do anything. This gives us the green mana for Carlessa, so that's why I want to play that out first. Okay, green. Now we need the blue. I guess we can play that out, and we still have green from this, so let's go ahead and do the untapped blue to get the Carlessa out. And it looks like they might be in a green, black, and mill deck here that reanimates cards from the graveyard. So far, only a land, which is good for us. Usually, you don't want to see them milling a big card, because then they probably have a way to get it to the battlefield or to their hands, so... Let's see, now we have still no whites, but that's okay. Dragon's Fire is good too. This can deal with anything. Okay, so this can be a semi sort of card advantage effect here if they want to do that next turn. Two or more other lands. So I think double blue. We have double blue to worry about. Let's go ahead and get this out into the field. And then I guess we can just play Minion of the Mighty, then pass, and we still have Dragon's Fire up. And then Scale Nurture next turn is going to be a nice ramp element for the carry on turn 5, I believe. So, yeah, we're not going to attack here. And I'm content to let them keep milling here as long as they, you know, they want to keep doing it, then that's okay. And I didn't want to use Dragon's Fire on the Shigeki because then they could probably instant speed return it to their hand and I waste my removal, so I think we just gotta go ahead and wait. And now we can get out black mana with that. Yeah, we have plenty of red and green already, so let's get out some black mana here in case we draw a black sort of colored dragon. We can get this out, and we still have the Dragon's Fire up, and then next turn we can ramp into the carry the Swirling Sky. And then we could potentially get Minion of the Mighty, Pack Tactics. So yeah, Carry and Carlessa would get Pack Tactics for Minion of the Mighty if we draw a big dragon in the next 2 turns here. Would be probably worth attacking, so we don't have... We can seek a non-land card with that after we play the Carry out. And hopefully we hit a big dragon that we can get out with Minion of the Mighty. Old Stick Fingers... yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and kill Old Stick Fingers now. And decline. We don't really need to reveal anything. 3/3, I think we can just kill it. Don't want to reveal the carry just yet, so that way they don't know that we have it, or that we don't have a big dragon in our hand or whatever. So now I think we want to go ahead and do... If we do that tapped, then we can't play the carry. So let's just go ahead and get out the Rockfall Veil. And then let's go ahead and just ramp into this and gain some life. Get a big fat creature with Ward out there, so if they want to use removal on it, they have to basically use their entire turn for it. And we'll just hold back here. And again, even if they kill this, then you can go ahead and, again, get a secondary effect out of it. So you can mill 6 cards, and then obviously we don't have many instance or sorcery cards in our deck, but the other effect, return any number of non-land permanents, can also be decent enough, so it can be a way to deal with the cards that they try and get out. Looks like they do have, indeed have some big creatures here, so I guess if I had kept the Dragon's Fire, then I could have killed Ancient Brass Dragon if they find a way to get it out onto the field. Icing Death is decent, but I don't have the white mana for it right now. But with Minion of the Mighty, I can get it onto the field and attacking, and it has flying, so I think that's probably what we want to do. We can put this onto the battlefield tapped and play it now, and then we attack with Minion of the Mighty. Yep, let's go ahead and put that onto the field. Get in there. These guys do not have reach, so they're in a bit of a pickle. They can obviously block Minion of the Mighty if they want, but I'm getting the value that I want out of that already, so I'm pretty good. Alright, and then we are going to end turn here. Alright, so far so good on the getting our dragons out. If they have removal for the carry, then that's going to really slow them down quite a bit, so it looks like they're again just going to try and get the graveyard value and making tokens out. Unfortunately, their tokens, if they don't have a creature with reach, they're not going to be able to deal with our dragons over the top, so the things that they're doing here aren't really going to save them. Maybe they have a board sweeper in hand and they just haven't decided to use it yet. But if they do have a board sweeper, then they would just be killing their own creatures, so yeah, I don't think that we really need to block any of these. It's kind of irrelevant. 6 damage. It's not going to really hurt us at this point. Alright, so let me cast dragon spells from the top of your library. We don't have the white mana. And then this, I guess the Minion of the Mighty is already gone, so we can't use that. We don't have white mana here. Adult Gold Dragon is going to be good, though. Very, very good. So I guess we're going to get out some... I don't know if there's... I don't think that this is really too relevant. I guess some extra green mana might be okay. I don't know. Doesn't really matter, I think, at this point. So let's go ahead and... none of these have reach, so let's just get in over the top and attack Anne again. 4/3 Vigilance Flyer is going to provide an extra blocker if we need it for whatever reason, so... Yep, I don't really mind what they're doing here. They're dead on board. If they want to deal with the carry, they have to pay Ward 3, so... I don't see anything on the board that's going to be able to kill us here if I'm reading the cards correctly. Yep, good game. So either they win the game now or we win the game next turn. Okay, so they're going to kill that. Can they kill the carry? Nope. They killed themselves! No! 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 Ikor! You fell on the sword! No! Oh, I mean, we probably had the game won anyway, but they killed themselves in style with the Infernal Grasp there. I mean, you gotta give them credit. They had a creative way of dealing with the match in the way that they knew that they were going to lose, so they just did it themselves. So, credit to Ikor. They actually have a pretty decent deck here, but they didn't have any ways to deal with our flying dragons, so that's just kind of what won it there for us by default. So, yep, and so having lots of the mana out there, lots of dual lands, and lots of ramping sort of elements, and the Minion of the Mighty proved its worth there because it helped us win the game by getting in the damage sooner. So you can trade a 1-drop Kobold or Minion, whatever they are, and get out a nice big fat dragon for a 1-drop. So that's why I have it in the deck. So it's a good thing when the plan actually works. So I'll go ahead and get back to you guys for the next game here. All right, game number 2, round 2, volume 2, part deuce. Okay, you know, this is interesting. It's too slow. Probably too slow. We don't have any ways to ramp into the Goldspan Dragon. We have 1 removal spell and that's it. Yeah, I think we need some earlier ramp or something like that to be able to make this a good hand. This is better. We at least have a turn 4 play with some removal here. Do we have the mana for Miram? We have green, we have red, we don't have blue. We do have Goldspan Dragon that can make the treasure for this Miram, and we don't have any white, so I think Icing Death is going to get bottomed here, and then we're going to hope to get some treasure token value to get the Miram out there. Okay, so another high mana creature here, so I think we want to go ahead and play out red mana first. I guess technically it might have been better to have green or blue mana out there first in case we end up drawing one of our 2-drops that has green as a base color, but I think that red for the Dragon's Fire is going to be just fine, I think. So I don't know if they said hello or not, or if they were scrying. I think they were scrying. I just noticed a little text box up there, and I didn't know if they were saying hello or not at first, so... Okay, so we don't have the white mana for Nadar yet. We'll have to get the treasure token generation at some point. Let's just go ahead and get the green out now, and pass the turn. And then they'll deal 2 damage to us, I imagine, as they have what seems to be a giant deck. Red-blue giants. There might also be... There are a couple of green giants, but I think that red-blue is usually the giant colors that they would have, so... So Dragon's Fire can kill that, but it does have Ward 1, so we can't do it this turn. Orb of Dragonkind is actually a very good draw that will fix for the mana that we need, and it will ramp in the Goldspan Dragon if we draw another land. So we'll have the mana for the Miram and the Nadar, and if we draw another blue mana, then we can get Carry Out as well. So I guess the question is, do we want to go ahead and kill the Rimwall Protector here? But it already got value off of that, so I don't think that really matters at this point. Orb of Dragonkind is going to take care of the double red for the Goldspan Dragon, so that's why I'm okay playing out the black mana there. Just get more colors onto the field. So 2 us to cast, and it'll gain Ward 1 from the Rimwall Protector. Okay, well that's an interesting one. Opponents can't gain life, so it's not too big of a deal yet, since we have, I guess, technically 2 ways to gain life. We have Nadar with the Venture into the Dungeon, and then we have the Scaleborn Nurturer ramp that can gain life. So we can kill this with the Dragon's Fire, and it would not be a bad idea just to get rid of it. Yeah, they have 1 mana. I doubt that they have instant speed interaction to deal with that. Let's go and get the white mana here, and then I can play Nadar plus Dragon's Fire because of the Orb of Dragonkind here, so let's go ahead and do the Dragon's Fire. Well, I guess technically I can't because of the ward cost, so I have to kind of decide here. I think we need to get rid of the Quakebringer now. And, well, nope, cancel. Let's play out the Goldspan Dragon, get the treasures. And then we can do Dragon's Fire. Yeah, I guess technically we still can't do it because of the ward cost, so... But I think that that's still the right call, is just having a bit of a mess on what I was going to do there, because the ward kind of mucks things up a little bit. I do want to kill that thing as soon as possible, but it's going to be a bit difficult here with the ward. Okay, so they're going to get into more damage. We really need to draw something good here. That is something good, and we can play it. And give it hexproof as well. Okay, so I need to get rid of one of their creatures. Maybe I can play Nadar as a blocker for the Agar. And then I still have enough mana left over for the Dragon's Fire. Miram would also be a good blocker as well. That gets hexproof. If I get in for the Goldspan Dragon, I have more mana to work with, so I think I just go ahead and do that for now. Okay. Let's get in there. And so what I can do is I can play out Nadar and make it bigger as a good blocker here, and then I have enough left over where I can play the Miram as well and make it bigger. That would be 6 mana, and I can play that out for 2 mana of any one color. So let's go ahead and do Orb of Dragonkind. Let's do the... I guess it doesn't really matter which color it is. Let's do red mana there. This. That's 4, and then this will be 6. Oh, add 2 mana of any one color. Doesn't really matter, I think. Our timer's kind of running out here, so we need to get stuff into the field fast. And then let's end the turn here. Alright, so I might have screwed myself there because I kind of forgot about the damage from the Kite Bringer. I had to play out the Dragon's Fire before it was their turn. Yeah, I think I made a mistake. I had to save myself by playing the Dragon's Fire before that triggered on their turn. Now I think I am dead on board. Okay, so let's just go and block here. Opponents can't gain life, yada yada. Yeah, I think I am dead. I just made a mistake there. I had to play this out on my own turn. Let's choose a dragon we control. Pay that, and then we'll pay the ward cost to go after this thing. Choose a dragon. God. I'm gonna lose anyway, but this trigger just works totally counterintuitively. You should choose your dragon first, then choose the creature you want to remove. We're crying out loud here. You should choose the dragon first, then choose the creature you want to remove. That's the way that they should trigger. They have it backwards. I think you should be the other way around for the triggers on that. So, yep, we're going to go ahead and lose here, so we'll give them a GG's. That was my mistake. It's late at night. I haven't had too much sleep, so I am bound to make some mistakes now and again, even though I probably shouldn't. So, alright, so that was my bad. I could have saved myself there if I'd read the card properly and remembered that I need to play the Dragon's Fire on my own turn. So, that's my mistake, and I do apologize for it. Mistakes have been made. Mistakes were made. Quotation marks. So, alright, well, I'll go ahead and see you guys for the next game, and let's see if I can do better next time here. Alright, yet another match in the arena. We're at 500 with our dragon deck. We lost the last one to a silly mistake on the part of just myself, so let's see, we have red, blue, and black mana here. We are on the draw. We have a turn 1 play with Minion of the Mighty. We can use this to ramp with some blue mana here. Ideally, you want 3 or 4 lands in a dragon deck. 3 lands is usually ideal, but 2 is keepable with the Lapis Orb that can ramp potentially into something on turn 4 with either of these 5 drops. So I think I'm going to risk it. And then Minion of the Mighty turn 1 is just a halfway decent play that maybe the opponent might use removal on if they are just feeling like they don't want to deal with it, so I might get lucky. That was a good draw, land that we kind of need here, so we have double red with the Goldspan Dragon. This can fix for some mana, but yeah, let's just go ahead and play out red, and then we'll play out Minion of the Mighty. Orb of Dragonkind can give us the double color mana that we would need for some of our cards in hand. Looks like it's a blue instants and sorceries type deck, so probably blue-red. Blue-white also might have some instant and sorcery synergies, or 2 spells, 1 turn synergies. Let's see, so we do, I think, the Orb of Dragonkind on turn 3. Which land do I want to play out? I think we just do the blue mana here, obviously. Don't really need to think about it too much. No point in attacking. So we can scry 2 when we do maybe a turn 4 dragon, and then try and draw into some more lands preferably, or maybe just try and bottom a card that we don't need, if that's at all relevant. We have most of our double mana costs that we need in the near future with the orb. Okay, so they're getting the instants and sorceries synergy going. Yep, so they're going to copy things and scry and draw. And then they're going to get in there for a couple of damage. Okay, Temple of the Dragon Queen is a good draw. I think we can just play it out. Well, I mean, yeah, we can just go ahead and reveal a dragon that we're going to play with it next turn, and we can just do the orb this turn, I think. So, let's do this. No attacks, and next turn we're going to probably play out the Adult Gold Dragon would be good for the lifelink. This would be good for the treasure tokens and getting out the carry. Mystic, so they could chump block here, so maybe the lifelink creature might be better, but this also gives value whenever it attacks, so it doesn't have to deal damage to the opponent, so... Alright, so now that I have 2 of them, I might as well play out one of them and reveal a dragon card from my hand. And then I think we're going to go with... I guess I'm going to go for white, because we don't have double green. Yep, let's go ahead and reveal this one. And then we'll go ahead and get out the white. Ramp into the Goldspan Dragon. They can chump block, but we still get the treasure token. Icing Death is pretty decent. Glad that I got the white mana out now. There are other dragons that I want to play for now, so maybe I'll just go ahead and get the orb into my hand first. Maybe can ramp a bit more even. So next turn I can do Minion of the Mighty with its good old Pack Tactics value. So if they have removal for the Goldspan Dragon, that's okay. We have another one waiting in the wings. Another instance and sorceries type shenanigans here. Let's see if they can overcome the mightiness of the dragon deck. They can pump up their creatures to try and race us, but once we get the Adult Gold Dragon out, I don't know if that's going to work out very well for them. So, we'll see. Yeah, because if they attack in with both, and then they don't play another creature, then Adult Gold Dragon just gets in there for some lifelink, and then they are in a rough spot. Another Goldspan Dragon could mean that we can just ramp into something else after combat, so that's also a consideration. We can maybe play the Red Orb after combat. Okay, so we're in a bit of an interesting position here because I think now we want to play the Adult Gold Dragon here. I mean, the lifelink can also be used for blocking as well. Maybe the Goldspan Dragon is the play, because then I get 2 treasure tokens, and then I can play out the 4/3 blocker with lifelink to save me from dying. And then I can also attack in with Minion of the Mighty to have carry attacking maybe too and just kill them. That'd be 6/4, 14. Not quite lethal. But yeah, I think we're going to have to do it anyway. Maybe we can do just this. Scry, I think a land is okay. I think a land's going to do better than another dragon since we already have the dragons in our hand here. So let's do this. And then let's attack in with everything and get the pack tactics. I actually think that we have the Adult Gold Dragon attack. So that way we get the lifelink value now instead of when we block. And then we can play this out with our treasure tokens. Now we have a blocker that has Ward 3, so it's going to be difficult to deal with that if they want to remove it. They could still win the game if they have enough instants and sorceries to pump, and then they have maybe a return the carry to our hand effect in their hand to kill us. They have to kill us this turn if they want to win, so they need a bounce effect on the carry. If they kill the carry, then I can return their creatures back to their hands, so... So right now they can deal 8 to us, which is not enough. They have to have a bounce effect for carry or we win. Alright, GG's. Yep, so if they killed the carry, then I return their creatures back to their hand, and then they can't win because they can't attack with them, so... They needed a blue mana bounce effect to return the carry back to my hand while paying the ward cost, which is pretty hefty, so... Yep, they were going to have a hard time there getting all the damage in that they needed. They needed a bounce spell or bust, so that was pretty much the end of that. So that was an interesting little match against the red-blue instants and sorceries with like wizards and flying creatures and flying magic. Wizards just flying around everywhere doing wizard nonsense, you know. Maybe not wizard nonsense, but wizard shenanigans, I guess is more what I would call it. But anyway, let's go ahead and... get on over to the next match and not dwell on the wizard matchup. Wizards versus dragons, and dragons won, so let's move on to the next one. Alrighty. Another match. Let's see if the dragons can get there once again. Okay, so we have the temple for 1 red mana. We have double red, but that's in the late game. Maybe we can find fixing for them. We have a turn 3 play that can scry if it attacks in with the Lost Mines of Phandelver dungeon. And we have double whites for Ale, the Dawn Sky. So it's risky, it's slow, but I think we're going to keep it. Getting at the very least a turn 3 Nadar onto the field is going to be decent, and we'll do this for the red mana. Decline. And red. So just by showing red mana and Temple of the Dragon Queen, they probably already know that we're probably a dragon deck and that we're probably going to go for some higher end stuff to win. So they might already be formulating their battle plan here, but I'm okay doing that just turn 1. Not exactly a good draw. We don't have any blue mana for it, so let's just get out some of the white mana. So we're off to a very slow start against a very fast deck that's going to try and ramp into their own stuff, I imagine. So next turn, if they have an untapped land, they can go ahead and pump up the Jungle Delver if they really want to with 4 mana. So that was a very good draw. We got some... At the very least, we got more mana. We didn't get the red mana that we needed, but at least we got something. Let's just get some more double white. Get out Nadar, and we'll pass the turn, I imagine, after doing this. So I think that we definitely need the Scry and Treasure Token right now. That's kind of the immediate thing that we need, so I'm going to go for this. Minion of the Mighty is a way to get out some of the cards that we have in our hand, so I think I'm going to keep this. If we can attack in with Nadar and Ao, or Ao, I don't know how you pronounce that, Ao, the Dawn Sky, then we could activate Pack Tactics, and then we could get out one of the cards that we can't currently play. This would be a good card to get out, because then we can just draw cards with that, so that's not too bad. I think that green's going to be more important here if we get out any of our green dragons, like the Thrakis or the Scaleborn Nurture. And then let's go ahead and just... Do we want to attack? Yeah, I think that we can attack, but I think I want the Pack Tactics value instead, so we'll pass on the attacking for now. I could trade with the Bail-Off, or at least get the Venture into the Dungeon value if they choose not to block it, but I think that waiting for our Pack Tactics value is the right thing to do. That's our best bet to win. Wrathful Red Dragon can certainly be very strong here. No blocks. Alright, so that was a terrible draw. It couldn't have gone any worse. Well, if they want a double block, maybe I have to live with that. So let's just attack in here. Let's make a treasure so we can play some kind of dragon on this turn. And they choose to go for the double block. That's interesting. They could have forced my they could have forced my Minion of the Mighty to chump block the 2/2, but yeah, I guess they didn't want to do that. So now, which one do we want to play? This gets us value if it gets removed off the field. This can get value off of dragons being dealt damage. Since we already have the double white, we're just going to go with the Wrathful Red Dragon while we can get it out. Then next turn we can go ahead and maybe attack in with it if we want to. If we draw a land, then we can still play the Owl of the Dawn Sky with the double white that we have. If we draw red mana, then I guess we're kind of crap out of luck because we're 1 mana off of this still. Any land, though, is a decent draw. If we draw the Scaleborn Nurture, that would also be decent. Then we can get out the AO or maybe the Inferno on a future turn. An Orb of Dragonkind would also be a pretty decent draw if it's the red or the green one. I guess we have 2 red Orbs of Dragonkind, but if it's either red or green color, then that would also get us there for the fixing for the Inferno and the ramp. Yeah, I think ideally we would end up getting the green orb so we can give, say, Inferno of the Star Mounts hexproof for an entire turn, and then we can get in with it for lots of damage. I wonder if they have removal and they are deciding how they want to deal with the Wrathful Red Dragon, because if it gets dealt damage too much, then they end up losing their entire board, or most of it anyway, so... Miram. I mean, we have mostly the mana for it, but we just need an Orb of Dragonkind or something like that to be able to actually play some of the stuff in our hand right now, so... And we're just 1 power off of the value for Pack Tactics here, so... I mean, they gotta have something like removal or a combat trick in hand. They could have a combat trick that gives a creature reach, maybe. There might be some of those in green. Maybe there's a... Okay, I guess maybe their hand didn't have what they needed, so I guess we get the free win there. I guess... Yeah, let's take a quick look here. I mean... I guess I'm not sure what direction this was going. I guess they were trying to go for green sort of value cards here. Ramp into some stuff and then get out more of these pack hunters to beef up creatures. So, I don't know. I guess they just didn't have much of a plan. They didn't have the removal. If they use a fight spell to kill the Wrathful Red Dragon or try and hurt it, then they end up losing one of their creatures anyway. So, it was kind of a tough spot for them, and I guess they just didn't have a way out of it. So... Can't really blame them there, but maybe they should have given it more time because the match wasn't exactly lost just yet, unless they had all lands in their hand. I mean, they couldn't have had all lands, though, because they were holding priority, so they had to have some instant speed interaction, but maybe it was just bad against the Wrathful Red Dragon because then it deals damage to their face, so... Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the next match here. Alrighty then, another match. Let's see what the Dragon deck has this time. We have lots of red mana here. We do have all of our colors, potentially. We have white or blue with the temple. We can have double black and double red, if depending on what we want to play. And we have some removal. The opponent goes first, so the Dragon's Fire could be valuable for that reason to slow them down, so I'll go ahead and keep this. We can turn 1 Temple of the Dragon Queen here. Alright, so that was actually not a bad draw. We do have the mana to be able to play that out at some point, so let's do... Goldspan Dragon can help us fix it a little bit as long as we have the double red. And that's our source of green. So I think we play this as red. We're not going to reveal a card. Then we can play these out on future turns depending on what kinds of things that we draw here. Okay, so that's a pretty good draw. We get the red and green here. We get the double red and the green for Thrakkus, so that gives us more freedom now. So I think we want just more black mana here since we have double red now. And let's just pass the turn. If you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. That's interesting. So I'll have to win the game before they can just draw a bunch of cards in their hand. So I'm going to leave the Dragon's Fire in my hand, since I want to go ahead and kill something big that they get out. I think now we just go ahead and get this out, and then we have mana that we need, and then we just have more freedom with the dual lands here. More freedom with the pathways and the colors that we choose. I keep holding up priority here, so I hope that the opponent doesn't think that I have something if they're waiting to counterspell here. Not having any ramp here is hurting us, but I think that we could try and maybe bait out a counterspell with our Dragon's Fire, but I think we want to wait more. We want to wait until the end of their turn for that. So that way they tap out and then we can play out a dragon that doesn't get counterspelled, ideally. So I guess which mana do we want to get out now? We can get out double black. I think we go for the double black right now, and then I don't know, do they have a way to return a non-basic land to our hand or to the graveyard or something like that? I don't know. Maybe they're just looking at the colors of mana and wondering what kind of deck that I'm playing or what kind of hand that I have. I don't know. One damage is kind of irrelevant. I guess they're just going to keep drawing cards until we do something here. Maybe they're keeping lands in their hand because they just want to go ahead and do the 13 cards and win the game shenanigans. So if you want to bait out a counterspell, we do it at the end of their turn, and then hopefully they don't have enough mana to counterspell, say, a Goldspan Dragon to get in there with haste. And then get out treasures, and then we can really get some action going. We have double black, we have double red, we have green. I guess I'll get white out in case I draw Nadar or something like that. So I'm just going to keep passing the turn, and then I'll do Dragon's Fire when it's the end of their turn here. I just want to see if they're going to try and use any of their mana here. They're not. Okay, so let's do Dragon's Fire now. We don't need to reveal a dragon card right now. I think 3 damage will be enough. Even if they have a combat trick to save it, it's not really relevant right now. Okay. So they can play it, but then they tap out, and we can play out the Goldspan Dragon without it getting countered. You generally need at least 2 mana to have a counterspell available. So I guess now the question is... Yep, so they had removal. They probably have counterspells and interaction. The question is, what do I want to get out onto the field? I can't play that yet until I get treasures from Goldspan. Junji can at least get some value if they get it removed from play. Could be blue-black, and maybe they're just color screwed right now and they can't play their black spells. That could certainly be the case, so maybe I can just try and take a chance here. Let's go ahead and get out the blue mana here, and then let's do Thrakkus first, since if they counter it, it's not the end of the world. Okay. Then we can still attack in for 6 damage this turn, and even if they have a chump blocker, trample gets in there. So, and then I think the Orb of Dragonkind might be able to bait out a counterspell here if we really want to. So I guess we do this for more red mana. We have 7 mana, so let's go ahead and... Let's play out the orb and see what they do here. If they have instant speed interaction, they didn't hold priority, so they probably don't. So let's go ahead and get out the Goldspan Dragon now then, since they don't have a counterspell, and we give it hexproof. And we get in for tons of damage. Yeah, so the Goldspan Dragon has hexproof. They can't use a bump spell on it, so they're in big trouble here. Now we have the fixing for the AO, and then we can get out the other 2 dragons as well if we really want to. Since they can't deal with the Goldspan Dragon, they might be dead. They might be able to kill the Thrakkus or bump it to our hand, but even if they do, Jade Orb of Dragonkind gives another dragon hexproof unless they counter it, but with all the mana I have, I can bait out a counterspell and play out another dragon if I want to, so... Okay. That's a good draw, actually. Right, and that's the GG's. Yeah, I guess they were purely an interaction-based deck that was going to try and draw cards to win the game there with the sort of win condition on one of their cards there with the 13 cards in their hand, I believe it was, but I guess we kind of foiled their plan by just being patient and then playing the Dragon's Fire at the right time. That forced them to slow down their game plan a little bit. So we were able to get there, and getting hexproof on a dragon from that Orb of Dragonkind was kind of the game saver there, because then they couldn't remove the Goldspan Dragon. So very, very good stuff. And let's go ahead and just move right on to the next one. Alrighty, Gurasu. I wonder what this opponent's going to be like. So we have the Gate to seek a non-land card. We have a Temple of the Dragon Queen for some fixing here. We have most of the colors that we're going to need. We can get blue with this, just to make sure we get the Orb of Dragonkind out that we can fix for other colors and ramp. Yeah, I think this is good enough. It's not an ideal hand, but we can do the Gate turn 1. Since it's a tapped land, and then we can do the Temple of the Dragon Queen turn 2 as a tapped land. Right, so drawing a 2-drop does somewhat change that plan. We can do... Yeah, I guess we still do the blue mana with the Temple of the Dragon Queen here. That's what we kind of planned on doing, so... And have blue when you play this out. Another Temple of the Dragon Queen is actually not a bad draw. Foretell, so it could be Saw It Coming. Could be an Instance and Sorceries type deck. That's the Foretell card. I could also just play out the Nadar here, but I do lose out on the Thrakkus on turn 4 if I do that by not getting the Orb out. Let's go ahead and get out some of our red mana here. Just play out the Orb now and attack in with the Coalescence for 1. They could have a hasty creature out here on turn 3 to punish us, but even if they do, I think it's not going to be the end of the world. So with red-blue, it probably is an Instance and Sorceries deck. Destroy target artifact, okay. So it is going to hurt us, but we can still play the Nadar this turn, so that's not terribly bad. So now I think I just go ahead and get this in for white mana. Reveal this to make it untapped. Get our white from Nadar, play it out, venture, and then... We're not going to scry here because we already know what's on the top of our deck with our other dragons, so we're just going to go for the Dungeon and the Mad Mage. See if we can go for the major value engine there. Also could be a red-blue artifact with lots of Instance and Sorceries interaction. With Foretell, it could be You Saw It Coming, it could be a Demon Bolt. Could also be like a balance effect as well, returning something to our hand, or to their hand even. So if they have a Sot coming or any counterspell in hand, they're just going to use it on the Thrakkus with 6 cards. Chances are good they have a counterspell that they would use on the Thrakkus. Yeah, so I don't know if it's the best idea to play it out this turn. We just venture for now. See what they do with response, if they do anything. Okay. So they're going to go ahead and tap that with some mana. I guess we attack in with the Corlessa now. You saw it coming, or saw it coming, could still counterspell us this turn. Let's just go ahead and seek a non-land card here, since I don't think that they probably have a counterspell or something like that in hand, so... That's a decent card, but we don't have double blue right now for that, so... This, on the other hand, is going to be pretty good if we can get our double white. Double blue or double white would be pretty awesome here, so I guess we kind of missed out because Behold the Multiverse is what they were foretelling. On the other hand, we don't have to worry about other dragons eating the removal. Lots of black and lots of red. We already have double green out, so let's just do this. I think we have to play this out at some point now, and if they have a counterspell, so be it. They have double blue, so... Could have another, like, tap down type effect, but so be it if they do. Okay, so they're going to do that. Not the worst thing, but we already know what's on the top of our library, so we know what's coming. And we already have our black mana out for the Brass Dragon here. Could be like an artifact and treasure token type deck, where they get value off of instants and sorceries, sacrificing artifacts and using mana fixing for different kinds of effects, maybe. Definitely lots of instants and sorceries and lots of interactions, so... Let's see, this one black. And then I guess this can make 2 black. So let's do this. I think we play this out now while they only have very little mana left in their mana pool. So let's see what they do here. Let's get in for 6. Again, Thrakkus is very powerful if you have a Dragon's Fire in hand, because then you double the power of your dragons, and then Dragon's Fire just gets twice as good. Alright, so I don't really mind that if they want to keep on doing the tempo here, but as long as we have some action left in our hand, we can still win here, I think, so... Looks like they're getting rid of removal. That's not going to help too much, maybe against their dragons. Yeah, non-dragon creatures, so it makes sense. Alright, so we don't get the white or blue mana that we need. But we just have more black here, so let's go ahead and do that. We already have double green. So much mana do we have? We have 8. 1 mana short of being able to play both of my dragons. Maybe try and bait out a counterspell, but... And so attacks, X less to cast, so they could potentially do lots of damage to my face if, like, there was a card in Kamigawa that deals like X damage to a target or something like that. I don't know if it can damage you to the face, but Let's go ahead and just do this again. And if they have a counter spell, so be it. I'm still going to attack in. At the very least, I'm getting rid of cards from their hand to play out. I mean, they do have lots of open mana potentially with the treasures here and the Goldspan Dragon, but if they want to use a counterspell or interaction here, then I'm going to have to play out stuff eventually because I'm kind of on a timer here, so let's keep attacking in. Drawing a land in blue or white would be very good for us this next turn. Drawing action would be halfway decent as well. And they roll a 1, so they have lots of cards in hand, but if we draw one of the colors that we need, then we could still be in some decent shape here. If Ancient Brass Dragon survives this turn, then it can be pretty powerful. Looks like they're trying to find maybe an answer, or maybe just generate some ways to play out a removal spell of some kind. Okay. There's battlefields, costs X less to cast, for X is its power. And then it gains counters when it has the day-night cycle. Okay, let's see. Alright, so now this is where Dragon's Fire is very, very good here. So again, it's only to a creature or a planeswalker, but Ancient Brass Dragon is going to be super mega duper duper good here for the damage, so they can't really save anything here. Let's go ahead and just play out the Scale Singer and see if they have any interaction to deal with it. It seemed like they did hold some priority, so they might have something in their hand here, so let's attack now. And then let's do this before blockers. Choose a dragon I control. And then I think of the options, I would want to get rid of the Goldspan Dragon and get rid of that treasure token generation. And then choose that. And I mean, they could save the Goldspan Dragon, but even if they do, we're getting in for tons of damage. Okay. We have Trample, and they can't really prevent all that damage, so this has Trample at least, so we're getting in for 5. And they lose 2 creatures, so they're going to have a bit of a rough go at it here. They used the saw it coming already, so they can't counter anything that we play in the future, so you have to chump block. Well, they have to have removal in hand, which means I think I just play out the Wrathful Red Dragon here and force them to chump. Let's have them use the interaction. Well, I don't know. Whenever your dragon controls dealt damage. Alright, so if they have removal, it's likely damage-based removal. So let's just play this out pre-combat and see what they do. Alright, so we deal damage to the face if they have removal here, and I think that we just win. Yeah, I don't think that's going to do it. Our Thrakis has Trample, and we get in for 3 damage here, so... Alright, I guess technically we get in for 4 damage, but yep, GG's. So yeah, it was a very interaction-based deck that we won against there, but our dragons were just able to get there with the Trample and the pumping effects, and we were able to just go ahead and eat some of the counter spells and know that we just have more plays in our hand waiting to go ahead and fire onto the battlefield in the turns later. So that's the way to beat the control-based decks, is just to keep on having some more action that they can't deal with right away. They can only deal with so much on a single turn without having to tap everything on their own turn, then leaving mana open for a counterspell and interaction, and they can only do so much. So at that point, there's only so much that a control deck can do. So they got lots of card draw, but again, if you can get in there with your dragons and they're too big to block effectively with that deck, then it's at that point where I guess we just kind of won the pacing race. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next match and see if we can keep the winning streak going here. Alright, looks like the background is the new Wilson card from that Baldur's Gate set recently, which is a very good card, by the way. I just didn't have a chance to play it in the drafts, so at least not yet. I might still do a couple of Baldur's Gate drafts in the future at some point to play some of the cards I haven't had a chance to play with yet. Okay, so this is a very slow hand. We do have all the fixing that we could ever want, though, which is good. We can get out double red. I think Temple of the Dragon Queen would get out red, and then we can have some blue and green. It's risky, but we have a turn 4 play here at the very least, and we can still have a decent chance of drawing into something, if not just more lands to play out our dragons. So if we're up against an aggro deck, then we might be in trouble, but otherwise we could still do okay here. Double white in play now as well. So now I think I just abandon the blue mana for now and leave Temple of the Dragon Queen open for fixing for whatever we need. We have to choose between red and white for this one, so I think we choose red in all likelihood. And now I can get out green for the Thrakkus. Very slow start for both of these decks. I have to assume that's a Doomscar there. There's not much else in white that they could foretell here, so it's kind of just telegraphing that they have a Doomscar, and it's up to me to figure out how I want to play around it. There aren't really any, like, I don't know, maybe there's like a Stornheim Unleashed or there's like some angel card that has foretell that I forget what it is exactly. But there is an angel card that does have foretell that they could have in their deck that I think was from Kaldheim format so a long time ago. So they're going to ramp into some angels with that. Let's play out our red mana right now. And then turn 4 we can get the Atsushi out. Hopefully it doesn't die to a Doomscar. I mean, I doubt that they would use Doomscar just for this, especially when I get some value off of it, but looks like that angel value is getting going, and this is why I don't... This is why I'm not inclined to go ahead and play the Power Word Kill as removal in my black decks, like the Cleric deck that I played recently, because if it goes against an angel deck, it's just kind of useless, so it's not really a good thing to have in that matchup. So I think now we do white here, and then I guess we'll reveal the Atsushi since I'm going to play it. Play it out. Even if they kill it. If they have exile-based removal, which white does have, then they can still deal with it. We don't get value off of it, but they're likely just going to play out some angels here with their pretty strong angel ramp. And constructed, I imagine this is just a super strong card. You can ramp into a whole bunch of angels here like they're doing, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff out by turn 3 and 4. I'm not going to say it's unfair because there are some strong synergies, but if I didn't have removal for this, then it's like, what am I supposed to do here? Yeah, so how do you like that curve? Turn 4 having all these angels out already. I mean, I guess the Wrathful Red Dragon could still potentially save us here because we can still block some of these angels and maybe try and kill some of the other angels. Plus, this also gets some value if I trade off of an angel of some kind. Minion of the Mighty could also get out the Ancient Gold Dragon to maybe save us a little bit here. I think that we go for double white. I think that's the play here. Let's just do double white right now. And then I guess we want the Wrathful Red Dragon out, so let's go ahead and play this. If they have enchantment-based removal for it, then we're just kind of dead here, but it's our only chance, so we're gonna have to do it. And then I'll just attack in with this, and if they want to trade an angel for it, then I'm okay with that. The treasure tokens, I think, are something that I would really need right now. I could have kept it back as a blocker to try and slow them down, but and then I guess we'll finish off this thing. And I think the treasure tokens are more valuable if we fix them here and ramp. We're not going to play out... Well, we could play out Minion of the Mighty here. This has haste, and we could get the Pack Tactics, so I think that we do this now so we can get the Pack Tactics next turn with an Ancient Gold Dragon flying in there. So if they attack with everything, they do 11, 13, 15, 16 in the air. So I can still make one block. So we're not exactly dead on board here, but we're getting close. Inferno of the Star Mounts is going to have to get in there in haste, and the Minion of the Mighty is going to have to save us as well. So what I can do here is I can block the 2/4, get rid of this, and I can get rid of the 2/1, or maybe I can just get rid of the 2/2 that's making all their angels cheaper. Maybe getting rid of the flying creature might actually be better here, because I think I just need to try winning now. 2 damage to the face doesn't really help me right now. I think we get rid of... yeah, I think we just get rid of the flyer here. It does mean that they can block Minion of the Mighty now by not getting rid of one of their blockers, but I think that we're between a rock and a hard place anyway, so let's go ahead and get out blue mana here for, at the very least, Corlessa. If Thrakus had haste, then I could get in for lots of damage, but I think we have to do Inferno of the Star Mounts, Pack Tactics, Ancient Gold Dragon, gets lots of chump blockers, hopefully, and hope for the best. Go into combat. They cannot block that, so let's hope that we get lots of chump blockers to save ourselves from dying. So if we roll really high on the d20, we might be able to still win this somehow, so... That doesn't have lifelink, that's good. You need a high roll. No! 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 Oh! 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 You can't make this stuff up. GG's. It's okay. The natural one! When you absolutely did not want it. In D&D, you can recover from a natural one. In Magic the Gathering, you just lose the game. No! God! Oh. This is just like playing the big rigs, the really terrible game Big Rigs, and it's just like you get a "you're a winner" at the end of your Magic the Gathering game when you roll a natural one. It's like, it doesn't matter, you're a winner. Yeah, I know, good game. It's okay. Oh god. I mean, that's funny, but you know, it still sucks that we very well could have won this game and then the natural one hit us. Even if we rolled if we rolled a 5 or higher, then we still could have won that with enough chump blockers. But yeah, that kind of went out of control there, the natural one. So, hey, Wizards of the Coast, maybe you could design a better card that doesn't swing on the roll of a d20, since it can either lose you the game or win you the game right then and there. Oh my god, oh man. I mean, it's only one game, and it's just a game, you know, it's not like I take this too seriously or anything, but man, that is just... It's a poorly designed card when a d20 basically determines if you win or you lose, because a 20 is like, makes it very difficult for the opponent to ever come back from, right? Whereas a 1 means that you get next to nothing out of it. So, again, a 5 or higher on the d20 roll, we would have been able to buy time at the very least, but man, that was just, oh my god. 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5% chance of that happening. So, alright, let's just move on to the next game here and have me lick my wounds a little bit here. Alright, back in for our next game after our little d20 roll of incompetence there really kind of kicked us in the pants last game. So, let's see if we can do a bit better this time around if we have to roll again. Okay, so enough about the last game. Let's move on to bigger and better things here. So we have lots of mana. We don't have the double... Well, technically we have double red, but then we lose out on the blue mana to curve out here. I mean, we can see lands, or we can see cards from the top of our library with this, and then we can see what lands we're going to draw, so that might be valuable enough here. But yeah, I'm going to go and keep this. I'm just deciding if I want to play out the double red or if I want to get out the blue mana here. I guess we just do turn 1 Minion of the Mighty here and hope we get some more stuff here. I think double red might just be more important than the blue right there, so... And then we don't have white, which is unfortunate. Let's go ahead and play out the green side of this first. Since we have Thrakkus, we have the Corlessa in hand. Thought that curving out might be better there if I draw into like some blue mana, or maybe an Orb of Dragonkind could also be a consideration. At the very least, the Goldspan Dragon can get us the mana we need, and this was a pretty good draw. I guess the question is now, do I want to get blue mana out for like the carry and different things? Or do I want to just get out white mana and play the Nadar out this turn? I think I just go for the white mana and play out the Nadar. Just get something onto the field. And then I can mention the dungeon and scry instead, I think, here. Alright, so we get green and white, so... This is a tough call because we can get the 5 mana for the Goldspan Dragon this way. But we don't exactly need double white or double green. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and just take the land here and hope that the Goldspan Dragon can kind of get us there, maybe with a Minion of the Mighty Pack Tactics play, so... Looks like we might be going up against an opposing dragon deck here with a better curve than us. Okay, so they're just going to make a bunch of dragons cheaper. Maybe they can play a 4-drop or a 5-drop next turn, depending. It looks like they might be a bit mana-starved, though, so that's a good sign. Play that now. Let's attack in, do some venturing. Make a treasure. And then... Let's just play at the Goldspan Dragon now. And then we have mana next turn to play out the carry after making a treasure token. Treasure token could play the 2 blue mana for the carry there, so... And we can also pack tactics in as well, and then depending what we draw, we can play out another dragon. They have chump blockers here, but simply by attacking we get value with all 3 of our cards, so we don't have to deal damage to our opponent to get value right now. And Minion of the Mighty having Menace means that they have to double block with both of the whelps to be able to get rid of that. They have their own Orb of Dragonkind, and then with the ramp from the Fearsome Whelps, this is going to be interesting. Wait, XX. Okay, so they can... Well, they are tapped out, but they can create a token in response, I guess. They can do an instant... Yeah, they can do like an instant speed interaction, then create a illusion, dragon illusion creature token. And then they can maybe surprise block with that, so that's going to be a strong card to deal with here. Let's go ahead and get out some more white in case I draw the double white dragon. And then we're going to go ahead and get in here with the pack tactics value, so let's do this. And put that on the battlefield attacking. And then -4, -0 is going to make it to where the Hellkite's not going to be able to kill anything here. Thanks. So they kind of have to chump block here. They can't afford to take 13, I believe. So I guess getting rid of the Minion of the Mighty is kind of strong for them, but chump blocking here is something you're going to have to do. Then I guess we play this with our treasure, and then next turn, let's see if we have a dragon on the top to play. We don't. And I think that'll be the end of our turn. So Carry having Ward 3 basically makes a removal spell impossible for them right now. So they're going to have to find a way to deal with that in some other way. Because this only ramps into like the creature dragon type spells, I think it is. Yeah, dragon spells. So Dragon's Fire, they might be able to use that. If they draw another land, they could use Dragon's Fire, maybe kill the carry that way. But the ward cost would mean that they have to kind of tap out to do that with like 5 mana. And then we get value when it dies, so that would be another thing that would be bad for them. So if they have 5 mana, they can use the Dragon's Fire on carry. They're going to just play the Goldspan Dragon. Not bad, but I'm not sure if it's going to change anything for them on offense anyway, so... They can't really afford to attack with the Goldspan Dragon right now, I think. You have to keep it back to block like the Nadar or the other Goldspan Dragon that we have, maybe. And so if we venture into the dungeon one more time, we draw a card, which isn't too bad. Maybe they have Dragon's Fire and they want to get rid of our Goldspan Dragon, yep. So they have a Siege Dragon. Okay, so 5/5 flying, that's a bit cheaper, obviously, so... And 2 damage to each creature without flying, so it wouldn't kill our creatures. Alright, so they can play out the Siege Dragon this turn with their treasure, since they have the Goldspan Dragon to make this 2 mana. Okay, so they do it. If we have a Dragon's Fire that we draw, then we can kill that. Alright, so... We have double white, but we're 1 mana short. And drawing the card doesn't really do us any good right now unless we have another dragon that's on the top of the deck. So what could we have on the top of the deck that could help us? We don't have double blue, and Carrie's already on the field. I think that's our only double blue card. They have all flying dragons right now. I guess we just play this out for red mana right now. And I think that we do need to attack in. I think we just need to draw this and hope we have something else on the top of the deck that we can play out. Alright, so we can play this out. They do have to block here because the carry is lethal, so they have to block that one. And so when we cast a non-creature spell, they're going to create tokens. That's a 5/5. I think we take care of the Hellkite so they can't make more tokens. And then, do we have any instants or sorceries to return? We don't, so let's go ahead and go back to the browser. And then we're going to go ahead and returning the Goldspan Dragon doesn't do us any good here. I think we have to do this one. I guess it's technically not mana value 6 or less. So I guess we just go ahead and do this and one of the Fearsome Whelps, or I don't know. I guess this is the best thing. We force them to at least play it out again with their mana. And then we can play this out as a chump blocker. I guess technically it's not a chump blocker now. We can at least trade off with a creature. Dragon's Fire we can't unfortunately play off the top of our deck, otherwise we'd be in awesome shape here. But next turn, if we don't die, then Dragon's Fire might be able to get us there. Having one blocker here might save us the game because the Fearsome Whelps aren't going to have the cards that are still left in their hand being ramped into, I imagine. Plus they already used this Orb of Dragonkind. Okay, so they might have 1 mana to play something here, maybe? I don't know. I guess they're going to get Treasure Token from this, so I guess they'll have maybe 3 mana open to play out a dragon as a blocker here. So I think we can afford to take 7. There aren't very many spells that can do damage to face here that I would have to be worried about. They could play maybe a Wrathful Red Dragon that could deal damage to the face, but that's the only way I can think of in most dragon decks. Do they have a way to give like Double Strike or Trample or something like that? With like a non-creature spell or something. Okay, so they lost the mana there, I think. They didn't have the mana for whatever it is that they were doing, so... let's just go ahead and kill the Goldspan Dragon to make sure that they can't get treasure tokens, so... hope that they can't deal 2 damage to her face in some way. Alright, so I think this is just GG. I think we just basically win here. So let's go ahead and put out blue mana for shits and giggles. And then let's just attack in here, and I guess we win. And then I guess we'll just go ahead and gain 1 life again, since we already know what's on the top of our library. Okay. So we were able to win against the opposing dragon deck in a not necessarily a mirror matchup. They have much different cards than we do. They have definitely a better curve out than we do, but we have the better top end cards, I would think. So they use the Goldspan Dragon to try and get some of their sort of non-creature spell synergies going and just play out a bunch of spells to try and get a bunch of stuff onto the field and overwhelm the opponents. Whereas our cards, we could get lots of value off of them with an individual card. So very, very good. And then their 5/5 Siege Dragon here couldn't kill our creatures on the ground to save them on the sort of backswing on the counterattack here. So just enough power and toughness for these to survive and get in there for the killing damage. So quite an interesting little mirror matchup, a very close one. It was actually kind of an entertaining match. I didn't really know what was going to happen there. Kind of like in top deck mode for both of us. So, all right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next match and see how we do. And maybe we'll see if we get another mirror matchup. Maybe there's more dragons in store for us. Who knows? All right, I'll see you then. All right, here we go again. We have an exact same avatar, Thalia. Cool little name. Definitely sounds like a D&D sort of elf name, I would think, but very cool name indeed. So we can get this for some fixing for like a dragon card. Can still get mana for the Orb of Dragonkind here, since we have 1 red there. This, I guess, can go ahead and... yeah, this can go ahead and fix for the Miram, as well as the double red for the Goldspan Dragon. So yeah, this is definitely a keep. We can ramp with the Orb and give some haste for maybe the Miram. So I think we just go and play out the red mana first, and we don't let them know that we're playing a dragon deck yet with the secluded courtyard. So they'll know soon enough, but we don't want them to know right away. So let's just go ahead and play out our double red for now. Then we have this for the blue mana for our dragons, and then the Orb of Dragonkind can also fix. Alright, so this is a pretty decent draw here. More action to ramp into with the Orb, and give this haste even would be pretty awesome to draw a card. Yeah, it is a consideration. Do we want the treasure token or just drawing some more cards, and then we can do this with haste the turn after? Interesting conundrum here. I think that the white mana might be more useful for like Nadar and things like that, so let's do this into the Orb of Dragonkind. The Junji has double black, but we have 1 black mana with this and then another black mana with this, so I think I'm okay. Minion of the Mighty, interesting. This does not have reach, but it is a ramper. So if we play this out with, which is a battlefield. Okay, so it's not a tapped land, so let's play this out and choose dragons. Then we can go ahead and play this out with haste and draw a card. Let's get in there. Alright, nice. A land is not too bad here. And it gets us some draw card value in the late game, if the board maybe stalls out a little bit. They could have removal for the Learmouth, but I think that the Miram and the Goldspan Dragon going to be definitely good enough to get there in the future turns, even if they deal with it. Maybe they're going to use double removal to get rid of it. Alright, I love that. They use 2 cards to get rid of one of ours. I'm totally happy with that. Let's see, this is going to be the double green as well, so let's go ahead and just get out the Miram with haste, I would think. Let's get our white mana. Play this with haste. And then we can copy the Goldspan Dragon when it gets out next turn. And we're going to be pretty happy. Having Ward 2 makes this much more difficult for green and red removal to take care of it. They would need a Death Touch creature with a fight spell to get rid of it, I would think. Yeah, so I think that they're not going to be able to win this, even though they do have a Planeswalker out, and those are usually a sign that they're going to be able to go ahead and snowball the game. But I think that the pacing is already too much in our favor for them to win. Because I can just go ahead and do this. Well, I guess we want to do maybe an untapped land for mana here. Let's do another red so we can do Minion of the Mighty as well. Kira or Carry, we could get a copy of that out. That might actually be better here. Yeah, let's go ahead and copy this. We can give the original one haste, then we get a copy of it out before. And then let's go ahead and play out Minion of the Mighty for shits and giggles. I think we've won, though. Yep. The opponent leaves, we fly over the top, and we just dealt too much damage for them before they could get their value engine going with their Wolf and Werewolves deck, I would think it is. So, red-green, Werewolves, and we were able to get there over the top. So, our dragons are kind of flying over the top for the win in some of these matches. It's a good sign that making a flying deck can definitely have the advantages in sort of like a red deck or a blue deck. And then a dragon deck has most of the creatures have flying in it, or some kind of secondary value. So definitely a strong deck showing so far. So let's keep on going for the night. Even though I am kind of tired, I want to go ahead and play as many matches as I can because this deck is really fun, and I think that you guys might enjoy the games. So enjoy some more games, and I'll keep moving to the next match here. All right. Nemo the 13th. Wonder if their first name is, I guess I'm just thinking of making a very poor Finding Nemo joke here, but Nemo the 13th, maybe it's like the 13th, maybe the 12th sequel, the 13th film, I have no idea. I am just making very bad jokes, so we don't have any high-end cards just yet. It is a risky hand, but 2 Scaled Nurturers to ramp into stuff, and then Dragon's Fire to take care of anything that the opponent plays out. I think it's still a pretty good keepable hand. We have all the colors that we would need. We have ramp for whatever we draw into. We can gain some life, so it's a good hand. I'll keep it. It's a risky hand, but a good one. Hello, Nemo the 13th. Oh, excuse me. So I think we go ahead and play out some green first. Then we have some green, blue, red, and black here, maybe in a bit of white. So we can make more green mana with the Scaled Nurturers, so I don't think that we need to play out any more green mana with our lands. We can focus more on the other colors here. And Dragon's Fire can buy us time against a creature deck here, so that's going to be a good target for the Dragon's Fire. We don't even need to reveal a dragon card to kill it, so that's a pretty good value for us. I guess it depends which red mana. I guess we only have 1 red mana to play here, so let's get that out. We want to Dragon's Fire this before it does anything nasty against us, so and then next turn we can play a Scaled Nurturer. We do lose out on the white mana, but we have some other potential ways to be able to get some white mana, so I think we're going to be okay. Let's do blue mana, Scaled Nurturer here. And next turn we can play out both the Nurturer and the Cortolessa. Alright, so that's going to get in for some nice damage here. If we draw into something good, we might still be in some decent shape. Dragon's Fire could also help us. Orb of Dragon Kind is okay, but not great. So I think we just need to buy time with our scaled nurtures here. Let's go ahead and get out some more red, and then the Orb of Dragon Kind can fix here, as well as ramp. So we have 3 open mana, so we can go ahead and tap this for, I guess it doesn't really matter. We can do this, and then tap this to play out this with haste. And then we can tap out, and then we can play this and gain some life here to make up the difference on the Thundering Right. So, pretty sweet turn for us, and ooh, Inferno of the Star Mounts would be a very sweet play next turn that can't be countered, but they're not blue anyway, but we can sort of get them in a racing situation and maybe force them to hang back with a couple of creatures. Plus the life gain from the Skilled Nurturers can definitely help us out. So they're going to clear the way, and a reach creature, I mean, is good and all, but it's not going to kill our Inferno here. Okay, so we can gain 2 life by tapping both of the Scaled Nurtures when we play this out. We don't need to play, or we don't need to use the Orb of Dragon Kind here for that. I guess I might have made a mistake with my mana. I guess I wanted to get out double red early, even though I had the Orb of Dragon Kind at some point for the fixing. So maybe I could have considered the white mana on that on these dual lands here, or one of them. Guess we already have green out, so let's go ahead and get black. And then I think we tap both of these. And then we leave up the Orb of Dragon Kind. Guess it doesn't really matter what we do with our lands here. It's 4, 5, 6. And play this out. Yep, and then we get some life. And then let's go ahead and pump it a little bit. Sort of force them to chump block here if they want to, but they're not going to. So if I get out the Ancient Copper Dragon, they can get out a bunch of treasure tokens, and I can potentially get in the 20 power and then deal 20 damage to the opponent to their face. The life gain is really being a lifesaver here to slow them down from killing us right now. So it looks like they're going to try and ramp into something big or play out 2 creatures this turn or next turn. Big stuff deck in red-green. Okay, so I guess they're going to get there with that, so that might win them the game. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get there, but we can still double tap these to gain some life here and give it some haste. I guess we'll exile the creature. And we're just kind of hoping that we can go ahead and get there with the life gain that we're getting to try and race them as best we can. A hasty dragon could still win it for us. If they attack with the Rodama that has reach, or the Kodama that has reach, then we might be able to get in there with a hasty dragon and win over the top. So if I were them, I attack with only the Thundering Raiju, leave my Kodama back to block because the Orb of Dragon kind that I have can give haste to a dragon. And that means if I get in over the top, then they just lose if they don't have a blocker for it, though. So, yeah, that's the way it goes. I guess if they had removal, they would have just used it already. Alright, so I guess they were deciding on that. We'll do the Indestructible here. Resolve. So we save our dragon here, and we couldn't block with it anyway, so... Up, and they're just going to get there. Well, that's unfortunate. So they had just enough to be able to get there and did their thing, so... More power to them. We could have won next turn with a hasty dragon, but they had just enough damage to get in there, so kind of the way it goes. And there's another close game. Close games, not deck matches. So, all right. So let's go ahead and see you guys for the next one and see how some more of these matches go. Alright, another match, another game in the arena. Let's see who our opponent would be fielding this time. Or I should say, what our opponent will be fielding this time. So, we have some ramp. Skill Nurturer is great turn 2, then Orb of Dragon Kind turn 3, I would think. So we can do this turn 1 as a tapped land, unless we draw maybe another untapped land that we want to play out instead. Then we can maybe ramp into the carry or the Miram at some point and whatever we draw into, so I like it. Can also use this later on for some card advantage to try and find a strong dragon to maybe copy with a Miram. I probably play the Miram first because it has ward, and then I can copy a carry. Because even though it's legendary, I can get a non-legendary token copy of it. If I get the red orb of Dragon Kind that can give some of our dragons haste, that would also be a pretty good draw. So I guess we have some green there, so I'm just going to go ahead and play this out turn 1. So we have double green with a Skilled Nurturer already, so I don't need the green mana from any of these. So I can go with red, blue, and black, I would think. Then the Orb of Dragon Kind can fix for any of the double colors. And then Orb of Dragon Kind can also give us double white if we get our double white dragon out, or our 3-mana Dragonborn Paladin. Deer, the Selfless Paladin. Another dragon deck, like the one that we faced before, I imagine, so probably going to try and ramp into some dragons here. The fact that they were on the play means that they have less things to have in their hand to ramp with this card, so being on the play for them isn't actually all that great. Being on the draw might actually be better for them because then you get more cards in your hand that you'll be able to ramp with this and make them cheaper. Okay, so this is a pretty good draw. It gives us a turn 3 play potentially. I think we go ahead and do red mana. I guess we already have some red mana there. I guess we can do blue mana for the carry and the Miram here. And then I guess we go ahead and do the Scaled Nurture here to gain some life. I guess maybe the Orb of Dragon Kind would have been better because then I could play out the Icing Death this turn, but Yeah, that might have been a mistake on my part, but it happens. It happens. So let's go ahead and play this out, I think, as white mana, I would think, and then we can still play out the orb even if we don't reveal anything in our hand right now. And then we'll just play out the orb. Not worry about it. Yeah, so this keeps on making everything cheaper after each turn, so this is a very strong card on turn 2. So I guess because it's at the beginning of their upkeep and it keeps going perpetually over and over and over again, having removal for that would be great, but we have some great cards in our hand as well that we can play, so yep. And this thing just gets cheaper each turn, so all power to them. And they probably play out another dragon with a treasure, but I guess not. Okay, so if I play out a temple, then I can get out the Miram and gain some life. Carry would have Ward 3, however, which would make it harder to deal with. But I think the Miram's the higher end play because we can make token copies of both of those. So I don't have any black mana, so let's get some black mana out into the field, I would think. And then let's just ramp into the Miram. So Ward 2 does make it slightly more difficult for them to use any red-based removal to kill it. They would need 2 Dragon's Fires, or they would need a very big dragon in their hand plus Dragon's Fire. Yeah, they could potentially pay the ward costs. No, I guess Ward 2 makes it impossible for 2 removal spells on it this turn, so they'd probably need 1 more treasure to do that. So I have to imagine that they have a removal spell in their hand. Yep. Okay, Racer's Ring can get us some value at some point. 4/3 makes a reasonable blocker. Ward 3 makes it impossible to use instant speed removal in the same way again. They have lots of Alchemy exclusive cards in their deck. I think that we can go for another black here. I think we do this plus the carry. I just want to go ahead and get out something that has ward, and it's going to be more difficult to remove. Ward 3 would make it very difficult, so Dragon's Fire with a 6-power dragon in their hand could still do it, but so what do you have in your hand? You have something that you can play. Either a dragon or more removal is my guess. That's probably the only things that they have in their deck, I would think. The Wrathful Red Dragon's a good one. Makes it where we can't really chump or we can't really block the Goldspan Dragon now effectively, so let's do this. And then if we have, yep, so they do damage to our face, that one. Yeah, we might be dead here because the Wrathful Red Dragon is just going to do damage to our face here, so I think that might be GG's. Too much tempo on their end and too much removal for us. And they kill that, and then they kill us, so GG's. They had what they needed. They have guess, Alchemy exclusive cards in there that do like 6 damage, 6 mana removal, and all this other kind of stuff. So 6 damage to any target. How do you argue with that? So, yep, they had what they needed, and Ward wasn't enough to get our dragons there. So let's go and get out of here. And yep, that was a very strong deck, but they did use lots of, I guess, cards that are more Alchemy exclusive, but they aren't part of like any sets, if I'm understanding the symbol on the cards correctly. They are Alchemy exclusive cards, but they weren't part of any sort of set of cards that came out in the draft format. So it is what it is, though. Alchemy has some weirdly strong cards. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next match and do a couple more matches before calling it a night. So I'll see you then. Alrighty, that dude looks like he has a nice flaming fist there. Alright, so we have turn 1 Minion of the Mighty into turn 2 Scaled Nurture into maybe a turn 3 Atsushi. Then maybe turn 4 Owl of the Dawn Sky. So this looks like a pretty good hand, so let's keep it. And we want double red, and then we have green with that, so we're going to forego the... Yeah, we could use the white mana. Let's go ahead and skip the blue mana for now, since we have more of a use for white mana, depending if we draw a land or not. We need green here for our Scaled Nurture, and then turn 3 we can decide which of these colors we want to play out. Alright, so it's looking like we're against a Cleric deck. Soulmender is basically exclusively in either the black-white sort of Cleric deck, like what I played in my previous draft video, or it might be like a green-white life gain deck that gets like +1/+1 counters and lots of different synergies with that. So I don't know, the A that was on the cards before might also have been like a Arena exclusive cards, like an online only type card, not like a physical print. So I could be misunderstanding the symbols there, so it might not be like an Alchemy exclusive card. It's just more like a Arena exclusive card, like a digital only card. So that could have also been some of the cards that our previous opponent was using that I was talking about. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the green mana here, I would think. We don't have any need for blue mana right now. Play this out. Ramp into the Atsushi next turn with some red mana here. Since we already have double green with the Scaled Nurture, I think we just play out this pathway next turn. Yep, definitely a Cleric deck. Could also be mono white life gain with some Cleric cards as well. Let's see, so we're definitely going to be able to fly over the top of them. Mono white, at least in the life gain archetype, doesn't always have creatures in the air to be able to deal with our dragons. So let's go ahead and play this. And let's go ahead and get out this. Gain some life of our own. And then guess we're not going to be able to play out that next turn because we don't have the double white, but if we draw an Orb of Dragonkind, we can do some fixing with that. Drawing some action in general could also be nice too. Even Nadara would be a decent draw with the white mana that we have in hand. Right, so some more Cleric life gain going here. The Howled Priest can get big very quickly, and the life gain can really make it tough to race them. But flying over the top can end up being a good way to still win here. Plus, if we trade off with the Atsushi, we get value with that. So, okay, so it's not really the land that we needed, but let's go ahead and do this. Attack in. Do our thing. And the reason I'm attacking in is because they're going to be able to gain life with the Soulmender. I'm not going to be able to block the Howled Priest anyway. And they're not going to attack with the Impassioned Orator if I leave a creature back to block, so... Right, so they're going to be gaining lots of life here and make it difficult for me to erase them. So I think I still want to keep the Minion of the Mighty alive because it can still play out the Owl of the Dawn Sky if I get Pack Tactics with like a Hasty Dragon this next turn. I have a couple Dragons of Haste, so... And then, yeah, hopefully we can do something this next turn to deal with what the opponent's doing. Dragon's Fire would not be enough at this point to kill the Hallowed Priest. Alright, so we are flooding out, which is a very bad sign. And we are not getting the white mana that we need, so that's another terrible sign. So at this point, I just need to keep on attacking in and hope for the best. I need to draw some action. Either white mana or action is basically what I need. This could also help with Pack Tactics with the Asushi, or Atsushi. One other thing that I also could have done is just leave the Atsushi to block, chump block, and make the 3 treasure tokens so I can play out the Owl, or Ao, the Dawn Sky, and have Vigilance. But I think in order to win, I have to draw some action here. I can't keep flooding out with nothing to play, so... I'll give Minion of the Mighty one more turn to do something with the dragon. Okay, interesting. So I can make a bunch of treasure tokens, and then I can go ahead and play out the Owl. And then I can look at the top 7 cards of my library with chump blocking the Hallowed Priest, I would think. They can also fly in the air for 2 damage if I attack in with everything. Then again, this doesn't have haste, so I can't really do that. Let's just play out some more black mana for now. And then let's go ahead and do... attack in with this. See if they chump or not. Then I can Scaled Nurturer, gain some life. Yep, let's do this. Play that. Then I can chump block with a Minion of the Mighty, and then if I make treasure tokens, then I can play the Ao, the Dawn Sky. Hopefully my dragons over the top can get there against the life gain deck. So they do have a bit of green in their mana pool, so they could potentially give a creature trample with a combat trick of some kind, but usually green-white is more for life gain cards. Maybe combat tricks, but trample doesn't usually end up being in their combat tricks, so let's chump with the Minion of the Mighty. Would have been nice to have it give AO haste and all that, but I think we're going to have to do things post-combat here. Okay. So I need the Scaled Nurturer back for a chump block to make sure I don't die. Let's play some more mana here. I think we attack in with both the dragons. And let's see if they chump. They probably chump the... Oh, they don't. They probably should have chumped the Ancient Copper Dragon, because now we have all the treasure tokens in the world to play out these. So let's do this, and then we can do Ao the Dawn Sky. And we want to... No, we don't want to... We don't want to tap the Scaled Nurture here. We need that back for a chump blocker, so... I'm just going to do the treasure token stuff here because this thing doesn't want to let me have nice things. It's true I missed out on the life gain, but this is going to save me more life chump blocking the Hallowed Priest, so that's what I want to do. And so now they're kind of dead on board if they don't have an answer for several dragons here. That's not really going to get there in my opinion, but... Because we can still use like a Dragon's Fire to use the Ancient Gold Dragon to deal 7 damage to something. So they'll make their flyer bigger and do all that. They can get in for 5 damage over the top. We have plenty of treasures to play out whatever we top deck though, so it's still a bit of a risky to attack. Excuse me, Out of the Dawn Sky could also give us some value here, but I think we just do the Scaled Nurture here. Well, that was a very terrible draw. More mana that we just don't need. We are just... Some of these matches you flood out and you don't get the top decks that you would want or hope for. I think I chump block with the Atsushi next turn and exile the top 2 cards of my library to try and play out something with all the treasures that we have. Then Ale of the Dawn Sky can also chump block as well. Yep, so let's go ahead and just no attacks, I think. We want to keep some of our creatures alive and do chump blocks here where necessary. We get value when some of our dragons die, so kind of what I'm looking for here. Okay, so we can block the Angel of Vitality here. And I guess they might give it a +1/+1 counter now, so we can't block it. No, they don't. Okay. I would have put it on the Angel of Vitality to make it a 5/5, so that way the Ancient Copper Dragon couldn't easily block it. Unless they have like another way to gain life at instant speed here in their hand. I guess they can give that lifelink to make this thing bigger, but... I mean, we could double block or maybe even triple block just to get rid of the Hallowed Priest and then hope we have other things that we can play. And then they do 13 damage, and then we have exactly 13 toughness, so we lose guaranteed both the Owl and the Atsushi. So yeah, at this point, I think this is the only play. We can't attack in with the Ancient Copper Dragon anymore, so we triple block. And even if they have a combat trick here, Owl and Atsushi get us some value here. So we trade. We have lots of open mana here, so which one do you want to do first? I think that Atsushi is what we want to do first, I think. I thought that the way that the triggers are ordered up there is just very interesting. I thought the Atsushi would be triggering first, and that shows the other one first. Definitely want to top deck some dragons here to play out. Okay, that's one, but not the dragon that we need, I think. I guess we can scry with this, I guess. Not really what we need, but okay. Maybe we can still draw something as well. Scaled Nurture I don't think is going to be enough. Yeah, we really needed something different in this game if we wanted to win. We just flooded out with too many lands here. Let's play that out of the exile. And let's get an extra blocker on the ground, I guess, just in case. We don't want any of these. We don't need any more lands, thank you. And we'll play out the Goldspan Dragon. We don't really need the treasures right now. We just need a blocker in the air to help us. So I think that they already have the game well in hand, but because I have so much mana and the ability to hopefully top deck something here, maybe I might still have a chance somehow. I probably don't have a chance now because the Hallowed Priest will just keep getting bigger and bigger now, so I think that our chances are kind of over here because we don't have any board sweepers. If we had like a Doomscar in our deck, then we might have been able to get out of this. But yeah, we don't really have any board sweepers to deal with what they have on the board, so I think that this is probably only a matter of time. I don't know if we have anything that we can top deck here to save us compared to my Cleric deck that had like Farewell in it. Yep, and they're going to keep doing their thing. You get life gain triggers on top of life gain triggers, basically, so they top decked everything that they needed. We didn't, and that's just the way that it went. Ooh, Wrathful Red Dragon, on the other hand, is about as good of a draw as we could get in this situation. We chump block the Hallowed Priest. Yeah, this could save us, potentially, because we chump block the Hallowed Priest, deal 12 damage to the Hallowed Priest, basically. However much damage it deals to us, or to the Scaled Nurturer. Then it can deal it back to the Priest, or to the Heron of Hope. Okay, so let's play this out, scry some cards in our deck. These aren't what I need. I don't need ramp right now. Chump blocker would be nice, but I think I just want bigger dragons with secondary abilities that can do stuff for us. Okay, and now let's see. Yeah, I think we just pass the turn here. Don't attack. And they have too much life for it to matter anyway. We're just going to have to slow play this if we want a chance. Okay, an enchantment here. That's going to make it very difficult. They can get some card draw value there. I think that was the incorrect play. I think what they wanted to do, potentially, because of the Wrathful Red Dragon, is attack in, have it deal damage, then in response to the trigger from the Wrathful Red Dragon, then they do the life gain to give it 1 extra toughness, so that we can't kill it with a chump block. I think that they did that incorrectly. Okay, so we do this, we kill the Hallowed Priest, because they don't have any, as far as I know, instant speed life gain here, so yeah, I think that our opponent, they could have won the game there if they had saved the Soulmender life gain ability until after they deal the combat damage. And then it could have given it one more toughness to where I couldn't have killed it with the trigger from the Wrathful Red Dragon there. So, okay, so we did draw some decent action here. They get some value when it dies, so that's also good. Let's go ahead and play it out with the Orb of Dragonkind and do some more scrying for some dragons. And even if they have enchantments like another one of these pacifisms for the Wrathful Red Dragon, we still get the ability triggers from that. So Dragon's Fire is good. I mean, it's something. We can get rid of a creature with it. We can still use the Ancient Gold Dragon to deal 7 damage with the Dragon's Fire, so that's pretty good. We still can't attack in with anything yet, so we're just going to have to pass the turn and make them think that we have something in our hand. Them getting free card draw is obviously far less than ideal here, but I think if we're going to win, we're just going to have to hope for the best here. They get lots of life gain triggers, but again, if they attack in, they have to use the Soulmender instant speed life gain trigger to give something extra power or toughness, maybe with the Cleric class, I think. Or for the life gain +1/+1 counter things like the Voice of the Blessed or the Hallowed Priest. So basically they have to save the Soulmender to do instant speed life gain +1/+1 counter triggers here, so yep. But they I don't know what they're doing here. They need to save it for the Wrathful Red Dragon triggers, so that way we can't just block them so easily. I think that they would have won the game already had they done that. You save the Soulmender for until after damage is dealt, then you gain life after Wrathful Red Dragon triggers its ability, and then you can save your creature from it. So we could attack in with the Goldspan Dragon or the Icing Death here, and then finish something off with the Dragon's Fire. Because the Ancient Gold Dragon could still deal 7 damage to something here. I could also just kill the Soulmender, because then they don't have the instant speed life gain trigger there. But yeah, I think it's just too good to just not just attack in here. We can just get in some value with the Icing Death. We can deal 4 damage to something with the Wrathful Red Dragon. What we could also do is we could equip the Ancient Gold Dragon with the equipment that we get from Icing Death, then use the Dragon's Fire to kill the Heron of Hope. Heron of Hope or the Voice of the Blessed here. Icing Death has Vigilance here, so they can't really do anything with... we just get a free attack in each turn, basically, and hope that maybe they deck out by drawing cards, but we have less cards in our deck than they do, so... I maybe should have just used Dragon's Fire there to get rid of the Soulmender, but I'm going to have to hope that they keep making the same mistake with the Soulmender and how they use it. Alright, so they have another one here, so... yeah, Dragon's Fire not going to be doing so much right now. Okay, let's just let that resolve. I thought I would auto-pass the turn with this thing down here, but I guess not. So now they have 2 instant speed life gain triggers. We're kind of in a lot of trouble now, because they can just keep on gaining life. Getting the +1/+1 counters on things, so... So at the very least, they're trying to go wide now and just have a bunch of creatures that can attack in for lethal. so that's kind of their strategy now, I think. And they're still doing the Soul Mender trigger incorrectly here for the life gain and all this stuff, so I don't know what they're doing, but... They're probably still going to win anyway, but they could have already won if they just waited for the Soul Mender life gain stuff until after blocks are made and it deals damage. Then you gain life in response to the Wrathful Red Dragon and you win the game, so... Again, I don't know what I can top deck here to win the game, but I'm kind of stalling out here to see if I have a chance at all. They have way too much life gain on their hands. I guess maybe getting rid of the Angel Vitality. Or the Heron of Hope would be good, but... This is also gaining them quite a bit of life. I could get rid of that, but then they still have the Soul Menders, so... So wisely they're attacking in with the Dawnbringer Cleric because I can't kill it with a single block. But I can Dragon's Fire it in response. Let's go ahead and do this, and then we can still kill something here with that 5 damage. And then I guess we kill the flyer, I would imagine. That way they can't fly over the top of as many creatures. And then we have to equip the Icing Death, I would think. This might end up being a saving grace. Let's go ahead and do this before anything else and see what's on the top of our library. If we top deck a lot of dragon cards here, then we can play out a bunch of dragons maybe to save ourselves. Alright. This is a very, very good card. We can sacrifice the Ancient Gold Dragon here. And then give it indestructible as a chump blocker and deal damage to something, so... What do we want to do here? I think that we equip like Icing Death here. When a creature attacks, target creature opponent controls. Okay. So I could do that, then Dragon's Fire the Heron of Hope. I can equip this to the Ancient Gold Dragon, I would think. And then we kill the Heron of Hope, I think is the best bet. Let's do this now. Choose a dragon that we control. And we'll kill the Heron of Hope. Choose this. And then we might as well play out our land now, so we have lots of open mana. I think red is more important for potential mana, so let's play this out now. The Rope of Dragon Kind isn't too bad for the counters and hexproof. I guess we might want to go ahead and put the Icing Death onto something else now. Maybe a creature on the ground. Maybe this thing can trade a bit better if we have the indestructible thing for this. Let's use a couple. Use a treasure there. So if I attack in with the Goldspan Dragon, I get rid of the Voice of the Blessed, because then we end up dealing damage back to it. I think we can do this for the treasure tokens, and then we can chump block with the Predator. Get some more treasures, and if they block with the Voice of the Blessed, then we can kill it. Surprisingly, I am still alive in this game somehow by the skin of my teeth. I don't know how, but Wrathful Red Dragon is basically saving us in every which way. I gave the Predator the Icing Death so that way I can sacrifice a dragon, like maybe the Ancient Gold Dragon, and then I can give it Indestructible. So I can chump block and make it indestructible, and then I can deal 5 damage would probably be enough to go ahead and kill the Voice of the Blessed. After, with the Wrathful Red Dragon damage and the 5 damage, it would be enough to kill the Voice of the Blessed, even if they have instant speed triggers, probably. Okay. What they really need is a creature that has lifelink that keeps attacking in if they want to do stuff. So, I mean, Celestial Unicorn will get bigger, but I have the Corlessa to block that on the ground, if I so wish. This is going to be like the game of the century, I would think, if this match just keeps on going on and on and on and on. Doesn't ever end. It's like a good old Mexican standoff. They can't really attack in with the Voice of the Blessed or it dies, so... So they'll get another creature back. Probably maybe the Heron of Hope or just a flyer creature. Angel Vitality would probably be good too, I would imagine. Yep, so they're going to go for a flyer creature, do some more life gain shenanigans, and keep gaining life. So we need another dragon after this Orb of Dragonkind to try and get some more creatures onto the field so they can't go wide to kill us. So we still have 2 blockers here. Again, they can go wide and try and get in there now, but we can still kill some of their creatures here. And they're just gaining more life, more +1/+1 counters, making creatures huge. No way to get trampled though, so... And we have a free chump blocker with the Predator here that can get indestructible, so attacking in maybe still isn't the best thing for them to do. So I can deal 5 damage to a creature, so I can do it maybe to the Soul Mender or something like that. I can also just do the Predator block now, and then save the Scale Singer for a chump block next turn and kill the Dawnbringer Cleric. So I think we do this, and then we're going to do the good old Indestructible and tap it now, sacrifice this. And then let's go ahead and get the... Let's get 1 Hallowed Priest out of their graveyard here. In case they have another Cleric class, we can get some creatures out of their graveyard so they can't get them back. And then this would be 5 damage. So what do we want to deal with 5 damage? I think we just kill the Dawnbringer Cleric now. Kill it while we can. The Noonarch Veteran would have been a good target too, since it gains them extra life when the creature comes out. But, Shatter Skull Smashing, not good enough here, so... let's play out the Orb of Dragonkind. Then I think we just need to keep back some blockers here to deal with what they've got. Yeah, I think that we needed another dragon off the top behind that Orb of Dragonkind to get some value there, but I think that we're not going to get there even with the Shatter Skull smashing here. I mean, we can make X pretty big with all the ramp that we have, but we basically need, like... Dragon's Fire doesn't save us, obviously. Most of our Ancient Dragons I don't think do anything. Ancient Brass Dragon can get us things back from the graveyard at least, so maybe that can be a top deck that does something for us. Again, with the ordering of these triggers, why not save the Soul Menders for until the combat phase, and then you can do that in response to save your creatures? I don't understand. Maybe they don't know that they can do that to try and get past the Wrathful Red Dragon, but that's what I definitely would have done. So, I mean, I guess as long as we're still alive, we're still alive. So we'll just keep on passing the turns here while they get bigger. I mean, it doesn't really do them any good to make these other creatures super huge. I can still block all of them and they all die, so... Okay, so I guess Pacifism's gonna kind of get there. Indestructible is not gonna be the same as Hexproof, so I think that they just win now, so... Alright, I'm not going to drag it out anymore. GG's. They had the removal that they needed, and we weren't going to be able to get there after that, so... Yeah, if we had another dragon card off the top there, and we chained into some more dragons off the top of the library, then maybe we could have done something there, but we were just kind of flooding out for a bit too long, and we didn't have enough plays to stop them, so... Yep, the life gain deck can definitely get out of control if you don't have removal or a board sweeper for it, which against the cleric deck that I played last time I did a constructed deck, board sweepers are like the bane of your existence because it just wipes the whole field and it resets everything, so you have to get that head of steam going again after the opponent's already been playing stuff out, so or has already been preparing for their turns after a board sweeper, so... Anywho, let's go ahead and get back to the dragon deck here, and I think I'll do one more after that marathon of a game against the white life gain deck, so I'll go ahead and see you guys for probably one more game here. Alrighty, final match. Let's see what we get for the encore here. And for our encore, we have a pretty decent opening hand. We have some removal, we have some ramp. Turn 1, we can play this out as a tapped land, and then turn 2, I guess we can... Well, maybe we want to do this turn 1, and then we can do the pathway turn 2 for the Orb of Dragonkind. Then turn 3, we can play out the other orb, maybe, I don't know. Depends if we draw some untapped lands here, so we'll see. Dragon's Fire can be some removal for timely removal. Ancient Gold Dragon, not really what we want to see right now. We want another land, ideally. Another land means that we can just kind of ramp our way into some of our big stuff pretty soon. The Gate to Mannerborn being a tapped land means that we need an untapped land off the top here to help us out a bit. The Dar isn't too bad either, but I'm going to go ahead and just do the... I guess green mana is what we probably want more. Is this worth killing with Dragon's Fire? Was it about to choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn? Alright, so they get some value off of it, but not anything that's too crazy, so I'm going to do the Orb of Dragonkind and let the creature live. Dragon's Fire can still deal 6 or 7 damage or whatever here, so we're still in good shape. Burgi, on the other hand, is a pretty good card to use the Dragon's Fire on, so they don't get the value engine going there, so... And then you gain some extra ramp with the red mana. They can boast more times, so looking like it's maybe like an aggro boast type deck with lots of artifact type synergies and lots of multicolor madness. I imagine lots of treasure tokens for the world tree here as well to get all the mana for it. It could just be like a very high multicolor deck that has this in there as like a late game win condition maybe. But with the untapped land, I think I can just go with black mana here since I have fixing. And then I can do Dragon's Fire plus... No, I guess I can't do both of them. I can do Dragon's Fire, then I can do Nadar, maybe. Oh, I guess I don't have enough mana for that. Let's just kill the Burgee now. Oh, come on. I was getting ready to go ahead and do it, game. Come on. I know I take a lot of time with my matches and with these actions and everything, but you could throw me a bone here, you know. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the Dragon's Fire now, so that way they can't do the +1/+1 counter madness here. Yep, so they'll sacrifice in response. Either way, their creature dies, so that's kind of okay. They can gain some life or put a +1/+1 counter on something, so +1/+1 counter on either of those creatures isn't exactly good, so I guess they're just making another treasure token. Okay. They have 2 open mana with the treasures. What do they want to play? They have enough mana for something. Alright, so it's the Oni Cult Anvil major value deck here or something, so they're going to be sacrificing their treasures and these artifacts here, so definitely need to get some of the big stuff out now as soon as possible. Yeah, this deck gave an Oni Cult Anvil artifact sort of drained the opponent deck. Gave my Cleric deck a big run for its money and just overran it. Didn't really give my Cleric deck a chance, you know, it's so the dragons are gonna have to get in over the top here, I would think. Jade Orb of Dragonkind could give something hexproof for a bit, like the Ancient Gold Dragon with the fixing that we can get. We would have 6 mana, we draw another land, we can get out the Ancient Gold Dragon, or the Inferno at the very least, so let's go ahead and play this Orb of Dragonkind out, and then we can do the... Guess we don't have enough mana for the less. I guess I would have had to play the... No, I guess I do have enough mana for it. Tap both of those. It's a dragon card, so I get the value with that. Well, I guess technically I don't. I used the mana to fuel this other orb, and then this one played out my creature, so okay. But I know that I have that off the top, and so I could play that out next turn as a nice big fat creature that can block. So I'm not going to be able to play the Ancient Gold Dragon next turn, I don't believe. But Inferno or Carry are going to be options here. Maybe if there's something different off the top of the deck that might be good for us, like maybe the Ancient or the Adult Gold Dragon might be good for us as with the haste. Fiend Lash is going to be a bit of a problem here. They're just going to be dealing damage to the face of myself here with all their things that they have on the field. Oni Cult Anvil will drain us. Fiend Lash will drain us a bit too. And then and they'll probably create some more treasure tokens at some point. I just keep sacking to the Onicult Anvil. So we're gonna have to get in with some big dragons pretty soon here if we're gonna have a chance. I think they sack it in response, but we'll just make them do it right now instead of taking one extra damage. Okay, another land. It is extra white for the, or extra land in general for the gold dragon, and extra white as well, so means they can probably get the Orb of Dragonkind boost from that. They can keep on getting +1/+1 counters to make the Gala greeters just take us out cold here. So I think I need to just get in over the top here. Give my Inferno some hexproof, and hopefully I can try and get into the opponent fast enough here to kill him. I could attack in, but I want to just keep back a blocker here. I can't block the Gala because then the Fiend Lash will end up dealing damage to my face, so I have to just hope that I draw maybe a... Could get something on the top of my deck that could help me out, but nothing likely. Nadar could gain us 1 life and buy us 1 more turn with the Dungeon of the Mad Mage venture. Rook's going to make it incredibly difficult here to do anything. Yeah, so if they have anything that does like a fight spell here, they have Death Touch, all these awesome spells. They have the pick of the litter here. A Death Touch creature with a fight spell might make it impossible to win, so... Yep, Death Touch plus a fight spell basically wins. Guess Nadar is not going to be good enough now, since 6 damage is going to be too much. If we had a way to give the Ancient Gold Dragon haste and get out, I guess even the chump blockers wouldn't be enough because then the Fiend Lash gets to us, so I think that they might have the match won by now with the Onicult Anvil draining us even more. I don't think that we have enough damage output to kill them. And we can't get haste right now, so... Ancient Copper Dragon, but we can't give it haste to make a bunch of treasure tokens here. I mean, I guess I could return the Fiend Lash back to their hand if I blocked with this on the Gala Greeters. So that way it can't deal the damage. Maybe, I don't know if that's the way that the triggers actually work here, but I could try. It's probably my only chance, so I might as well do it. Never mind, I needed to have the carry die. I screwed that up. Game. Okay. I needed to have that be a 7/7, have it die to the Gala, and then return the Fiend Lash to the opponent's hand, but don't think it's going to be good enough, so... Yeah, I don't really have anything I can do here. I'm just going to go ahead and give them the GGs here. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing. I I needed to make sure that I wasn't tapping the green Orb of Dragonkind, because then otherwise my creature cannot die to their 6/4 that's attacking in, unless they get it another, like, if they give it like another +1/+1 counter or something like that, then they still could have killed it, I guess. But I think at that point we're probably still dead, so I don't know if returning the Fiend Lash to their hand could have saved us there and bought us some time, but I think that it might have still triggered the damage and it can still kill us. So at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. You know, we lose some, we win some, we lose some, and that's the way it goes in Magic. So I thank everyone for watching, and I hope that everyone enjoyed this wonderful little dragon deck here. It was quite a bit of fun, and at the very least, I think that it was interesting to have some cool matches to play out, and we had a mirror match against some dragons a couple times. We played against the cleric deck, life gain deck. We played against some red-blue instants and sorceries and wizards and all kinds of cool stuff. And so we get to see some interesting matchups with this alchemy deck here, full of all kinds of dragons, and then a nice little minion of the mighty to cap it all off as a kobold. That's kind of being like, yeah, get in there, get in there, get in there, yeah, rah. It's the kobold that doesn't actually fight, but it's like, get in there, you dragons, get in there, fight, kill, maim, yeah, you know. But yeah, really good deck. The only thing with this deck is that it might be hard for some people to play, mainly due to the fact that many of these cards are going to be rares or mythic rare dragons for the actual creature side of it. So like Nadar is even a rare, Dragon Turtle is a rare, and then basically every dragon out here except for the Thrakkus is a rare, so, or mythic rare. And then you have lots of pathways that you have to take advantage of, and lots of dual lands that they're not going to be easy to go ahead and get with all the wild cards that you're going to have to invest into it. And then the Shatter Skull Smashing is another card that, again, is another wild card that you would have to invest in for the sort of value there. Dragon's Fire obviously is quite good, and it's good in many decks. And then you have the sort of early game plays of the dragons here that are a bit easier to get with the wild cards. But it is a very wild card intensive deck if you want to go ahead and make your own deck with this kind of thing. What I would do if you want to make a deck like this is go for the pathways first, then go for maybe one of each dragon that you might want, and then get the dragons that you like the most for the synergies. And then there might be a couple of arena exclusive cards that you get access to no matter what that you can get, that you can go ahead and still play out and still make a pretty strong and fun deck in this kind of format. So hope everyone enjoyed it, and I hope everyone enjoyed the nice big fat dragons breathing fire onto all of our opponents and getting in there for a good amount of wins. We did lose a couple of matches, but some of them were very close, very, very close. The one where we rolled the natural 1 on the Ancient Gold Dragon was very unfortunate. If we just roll 5 or 6 or higher, then we probably stabilize and we can maybe win the game. So, but it is what it is. Poorly designed card in my opinion, but it's still a fun deck. I think that they should redesign the card to not be so swingy based on a D20 roll. So they did have some rolling cards in the Adventure in the Forgotten Realms set, but you know, it's hard to complain too much about good dragon cards, but it is poor design for a card game. Tabletop, you can get over a natural 1, but in Magic the Gathering, it can swing a game. So hope everyone enjoyed it, and I hope that everyone has a very good sort of end to the tail end of summer and a good beginning of September, because I'm recording this going into the late night of August 31st, and we're going into a new month, and we're going to be experiencing new things in the fall, and hope everyone has fun switching into the time of the new year and a new season. So have a very good day, everybody, and as always, take care.